Good afternoon. This is Remy Red coming to you with a review of the four-part docu-series When They See Us that aired on Netflix. It was a Netflix original. It was produced by Ava DuVernay as well as Oprah Winfrey and Robert De Niro. This docu-series took place, or the alleged crime took place on April 19th, 1989, where five young teenagers were falsely accused of raping and assaulting a white jogger in Central Park. My view on the movie is that it's so hard to believe that so many people played a part in locking these young men up knowing that they did not commit the crime. There was no physical evidence. The sperm that was on the scene didn't match, or that was found in a sock, didn't match any of the five boys that were accused of raping and assaulting this young woman. What's particularly disturbing is the character Corey wasn't even in the park that night. He just happened to go along with his friend down to the police station to be there for support. And in doing that, he ended up serving time behind bars as well. Overall, the movie was really good. If you're tough skinned, you can get through the movie. If you're a sensitive person, it's very upsetting. It does cause you to cry, and it makes you very, very, very angry because of the length that the people went to falsify tape recordings, falsify testimony, coerce these young kids into admitting that they did it when they know that they did it. And then for one young man, his father was so afraid of losing his job that he encouraged his son to say whatever it is that the police wanted him to say. They did it. I know particularly one of them did it because he was beat into doing it. They beat the one. It was one that was 16. So they beat him into a confession. And when you look at the videotapes of the different confessions, there's no way a sane, rational person could possibly come to the conclusion that these young boys did it. It just shows you the amount of racism and hatred that we have in the world back then and still today. People being falsely accused of crimes that they didn't commit. What I would have loved to have seen in the movie, because Ava DuVernay did a beautiful job. She wrote the story for the guys. I would have loved to seen the jurors deliberating. I wanted to be in that room because I wanted to know how could they have come up with this conclusion. There was no physical evidence. There was no sperm that matched any of the young men on the lady's body. And then not only that, she was assaulted. She was bashed in the head. Their clothing had no blood on it. But yet they were still convicted of these crimes. And they spent from 6 to 13 years in jail. The one that spent the most time in jail was Corey. That was the friend that only went down to the station to support his friend. He spent the most time in jail. And I'm just so, I would love to have meet him. He went through so much. They all did. But by him spending the most time in there, he went through more. he went through so much and he never gave up hope. And that says a lot. He never gave up hope. Every time his parole hearing came up, they said the only way that we could possibly release you is if you admit that you did the crime. And he rather had stayed in jail and stand firm in his conviction and the truth of his, the truth. He'd rather stand in the truth than a lie and be released from jail. That's a hell of a man. And I'm so honored to have was able to hear and see his story, because if Corey can get through everything that he went through in life, just being a friend, supporting another friend, I feel like we should be able to get through. Endure and conquer anything that comes in our path. They beat him all the time, harassed him. It doesn't look like he formed too many friends while he was locked up. And so I could only imagine how lonely he was, because he spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. And it was one correctional officer who was instrumental in keeping him sane, you know, giving him books to read and giving him a hug. You know, they stationed him so far away from his mom, like over 300 and something miles, so his mom couldn't get to him that often. And she was a single parent, and you could tell with her, she had detached herself from what was going on with him. She was there, but she wasn't there, so to speak. I know that you can't touch the inmates, so, but it was just a stoic detachment that I felt about her. And I won't say self-absorbed, but I guess once he went away, she just kind of lost. A part of her died, and you could see it in her. You could see it in her. His character stood out to me the most. And his acting was so good. Oh my God. All of the boys' acting was really, really good. Really good. The other young man, which I can't remember everybody's name, there was one Spanish man, and there was Yusef, but for some reason I just right now I can't remember everybody's name. Corey's character is the one that stood out to me the most. And the other young boy who dad talked him into saying that he did it because he didn't want to lose his job where he was. After the son obeyed his father's wishes, the father kind of detached himself, stopped coming home for weeks, and then probably was out in the streets, you know, with other women and everything. He didn't come to his son's trial. It was nearly at the middle of the trial before he even started showing his face, and it was really sad. I want to try to empathize with the father, but I don't know. I know that he ended up coming back later on down the line after Antron, I think that's his name. After later on down the line, when Antron was released from jail, but by that time it was so much bitterment from Antron, which you can't really blame him. I would be angry too if my parent told me to do what the police want me to do, and they know that I'm innocent. I don't know how to feel, or how I would feel about my mom or dad telling me just do what they say, and I know that I did not do it. I don't know how I would feel about that, so I can't say how Antron should feel about what his dad did. But his dad ended up coming back and was very ill, and he spent the rest of his days with his father being ill. And I don't know if he forgave him, but his father almost fell out the bed, and that was the first time I saw him pick him up and kiss him on the head. I mean, it's still your parent, even though there's you feel betrayed by someone that's your dad, to tell you to do what the police tell you to do, even though it's a lie. So, overall, I'd say the docuseries is good. I think everyone should watch it. It's very teaching, and it's the #1 watch show on Netflix in the whole history of Netflix. So that says a lot about it right there. The Spanish guy, he ended up getting out, and he tried to do the path of looking for a job, being turned down because there was a stigma on them for being the Park Central 5. Everybody believed that they did it. A lot of people did, and then a lot of people didn't. And so once some of them would get a job, it would last for a little while. And then, oh, you're part of the Park Central 5. Oh, you gotta go. There is a level of redemption at the end of the movie because they are, all charges are dropped because Corey, by him spending so much time in jail, he ended up being in the same place with the person who actually did rape the young jogger. And so that person confessed. And at that point, all 5 of them were exonerated of the charges. And had Corey not met the young man, I don't know if they would have ever been exonerated. And it just shows that I know that it happened. And some people say, how could there be a God and something like this could happen in the world? How could there be a God? Well, there is a God, and obviously, yeah, they did serve time, but by the grace of God, the young man finally came forward and told the truth, and the young men were exonerated. Donald Trump was so adamant about, he took out an article in the newspaper back then and put their addresses out and telephone numbers, just oh my God. And now that he knows that they were exonerated when they exonerated, do you think that he ever apologized? Like, how could you be so wrong and don't feel that you need or owe someone an apology? They definitely deserve an apology from Donald Trump. I don't know what other way to put it. There have been many crimes committed in the world. Why did he decide to pick that particular crime and make it as if it's the worst thing that's ever happened in life? No. All of these crimes are bad. They hurt people. The beauty of it is that the young lady didn't die. She just had a memory loss, and she couldn't remember the chain of events that happened that night. But the young man who raped her admitted it. And when they tested his semen, it was dead on. And instead of the state's attorney accepting the fact that it was only one person who did this crime, she attempted to make it 6 men that raped one woman. and the only sperm that and DNA that connected was the young man. It just show you how, hateful some people are, and they hate you because of the color of your skin, and it's terrible. So I'm thankful that I was able to be a part of that, and I was so happy to see that movie because it was something that was needed. Um, I know that Oprah Winfrey did a show and had them on, and you could still feel the pain, which will probably never go away because it's just parts of your life that's been taken away from you prematurely, and if for a reason that isn't even accurate information. You didn't even commit a crime. I hope that one day they find peace, solace. One day, I hope they can before they, leave this earth. But I know maybe they won't. So I recommend that you see this movie. It's so good. Please check out When They See Us. It's a Netflix original. And I give it 2 thumbs up.